All right, let's go ahead and get to your question. What are the hardest cases to prove for Social Security disability? Man, that is a very unique question. And I'm going to give it in the typical unique attorney response. It depends. But I know that you're probably going to say, Attorney Reeves, don't come with me with that it depends. We all know it depends. But which ones have you found in your experiences are the more difficult ones? Okay. Probably the ones that I have the toughest times with, meaning it's very hard to prove they're disabled, are those conditions that I run across that if you take your medication the way you're supposed to take them, you should be okay. And you would say, well, which ones are that? Well, let me see, there's 3 of them that come to mind: diabetes, asthma, high blood pressure. Those are the ones that I run across that are really tough. Now, let's kind of take them one at a time. High blood pressure. I can tell you that in almost 12 years of doing Social Security disability, I don't think I've ever gotten anyone on disability solely based on high blood pressure. You got to keep in mind that in order to get disability benefits based on high blood pressure, you're talking end organ damage. That means your blood pressure is off the chain to the point where you're being hospitalized and you're having severe organ damage. I have high blood pressure and I'm still gainfully employed, but working for myself, that's a difference. But one of the things that I tell people all the time is that that's a tough one, because I can't tell you how many times people will say, oh, I have this. Oh yeah, and I have high blood pressure. And I look at them and I say, how is high blood pressure affecting your ability to work? Most people can't even tell you. Now, if they tell you, well, I'm taking diuretics, which means I'm going to the bathroom a lot, or I have periods of lightheadedness, again, are you taking the medication? And remember, in most instances, there's always a treatment regimen that's about the same for high blood pressure. Are you taking your medication? Are you eating a proper diet? Are you exercising? All those things coming into play. High blood pressure is one of those conditions that if you follow the regimen, the treating regimen, you should be okay. The other one, diabetes. Again, diabetes is a beast. And the reason why I say it's a beast is you'll get people who are diabetic or pre-diabetic, not taking any medication. Then you have some who are taking like glucophage and so forth, pills. And then you have insulin dependent, those who are taking their insulin shots. Let me be the first one to tell you, diabetes is a beast, because I can't tell you what I see in people's medical records for non-compliance. Meaning that's usually what you see a lot. And what do you mean by non-compliance? Well, in situations where people are not taking they're taking their shots, they're not paying attention to their diet, they're not doing any exercises, and their numbers are always skewed. And doctors, they'll tell you that on a regular basis. If they think that the person is not following the regimen, the treating regimen, that's going to have an impact on what your blood pressure levels are going to be. So, I've gotten people disability based on diabetes, usually because they have retinopathy, which means they've got some problems with their vision, or neuropathy, usually in their hands and their feet and so forth like that. And they're taking insulin shots and there's all kinds of side effects. They've been hospitalized because their blood sugars were so high. But, I always tell people, be careful, because with diabetes, the court is going to be looking heavily at compliance. Are you doing the things the doctor is telling you to do? Most people will come to me and they'll say, oh, Attorney Reeves, my blood sugars they spike at 300 to 400. And I'm looking at them again and I keep telling them, diabetes is one of those health conditions that, especially when you go before a judge, it is assumed that if you do what you're supposed to do, your blood sugar should not be that high. Okay? Now, does that mean you can't get disability for diabetes? Like I said, I've represented many people who've gotten it for diabetes based on all the problems they have. But I always tell people that be very mindful, because if your doctor has put in there that you are non-compliant, what they're telling Social Security is they're not following the treatment regimen that has been laid out for them to help improve their diabetes. So that is going to be something Social Security will keep an eye on. And the other one is asthma. Same type of scenario. Like, I'll have people say, oh, I can't breathe. And it's the same magical thing. Asthma is one of those conditions, like high blood pressure, like diabetes. They're not going anywhere. You're going to have it for the rest of your life, but you can still function. There are people who are in the military who've got asthma. There are people who are still functioning actively in society with diabetes. I have high blood pressure. So I tell people, be careful, because when we're looking at asthma, we're looking from the standpoint of, okay, how many times have you been hospitalized? Not just going in there for an ER visit, but you've been admitted. Are you taking albuterol? Are you taking a nebulizer? Are you taking any type of steroids and so forth? How often are you missing days from work because you're having asthma attacks? To the point where it's drastically impacting your ability to do things. Please don't be a smoker. Woo! What you say? I can't tell you the number of times I have people when they're like, "Oh, I have asthma. Do you smoke?" "Yeah, I smoke." "Well, I smoke a little bit," and then I don't want to hear nothing else. And you're like they get angry, and I keep telling them, how is it wrap your brain around this? You're saying you have difficulty breathing, yet you are smoking. Just kind of do the math here. It's almost like the person who says, I want to lose weight, but then binge eats, chocolate chip cookies and candy bars and can't quite figure out why they can't lose weight. So same thing with asthma. So for those of you who are curious, I always tell people every case that I have has its own issues that you have to deal with. But if you were to ask me what cases really give you fits in terms of disability, I always tell people same thing for adults, it's those three. Now for kids, same thing, asthma. I don't ever get kids with diabetes, high blood pressure. Asthma is one. I used to get those a lot years ago, and I used to duck them like the plague because it's hard. The same thing. You have a child that'll sit there and play, go outside and play tag football, flag football for 8 hours, and then and then your parents are like, oh, he's having a hard time breathing. Like maybe if he wasn't outside playing football for 8 hours. The other thing that I have a tough time is when I have parents who tell me that their child has ADHD. And so I go down my list of things that I ask, like, okay, got ADHD. Is he been held back? No. Is he in special classes? Oh, no. Does he have a specialized, individualized education plan specifically designed to address the concerns and issues that he has related to ADHD? Nope. Then you're going to have a hard time showing that ADHD renders your child disabled. So from an adult standpoint, my three big ones are diabetes, asthma, high blood pressure. Those are the ones that I tend to have a little bit of fits whenever I'm dealing with. And then for kids, asthma, ADHD. Those are my tough ones. And I'm pretty sure I'll remember a few more later on.